It's trade time. Bringing you 10, and I say 10, league winning must buy players for week 12 fantasy football. And I understand a lot of y'all's trade deadlines are already over. There are trades out there being made in leagues, and I want to talk about them and give you guys some suggestions because my goal is to help you win a fantasy football championship in 2024. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, we are answering every start sit question down below. So once you're here in the community that we are building, we started off with our first player we're going to talk about today. It is going to be Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. And when we talk about Bijan Robinson as a buy, clearly he is a buy. Absolutely has been demolishing in fantasy football the last 6 weeks. Dude has put up 20 fantasy points or more 5 times. And in versus Denver in week 11, he didn't. He put up 10.3 fantasy points, which means I think Bijan Robinson is still league winning, LaDainian Tomlinson level type upside that he has just started to really figure out how to achieve, even with snap shares that has been around 56 to 74%, which is absolutely insane, which means the Atlanta Falcons are continuing to figure out how to actually use Bijan Robinson. But the reason that I think Bijan Robinson is a buy is because, of course, we love this ultimate level value coming off of a down week in week 11, but he is going to be on buy in week 12. So if you are a Bijan Robinson owner that maybe is trying to make a push for the playoffs, this is going to hurt your overall momentum. And this is something that us as smart fantasy football managers are going to be able to take advantage of in trades. So that's why we see deals like a Bijan Robinson for a Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet. That's probably pretty close one-sided. I would take the Bijan Robinson over Joe Mixon and Zach Charbonnet. The next deal that we'll talk about is over here down here at 11.19. We got Mike Evans and Bijan Robinson for Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. Give me the Mike Evans and Bijan Robinson side. That's huge. Bijan Robinson was traded for DK Metcalf, Brian Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco. Listen, that's a lot to give up for Bijan Robinson, but if you're making a push at the chip, studs win you a fantasy football championship. Give me the Bijan Robinson, DK Metcalf, Brian Robinson, and Isaiah Pacheco side. There, we got Bijan Robinson and TJ Hockenson for Joe Mixon, Juwan Jennings, Kyle Pitts. Give me the Bijan Robinson side there. So those are some great deals for Bijan Robinson that I would be looking to do. I think it's an absolutely no-brainer to be going and trying to buy some Bijan Robinson. And I understand Bijan Robinson's expensive. So I get it. Not everyone's going to be able to go trade for Bijan Robinson because realistically, Caleb, my guys in my league love their studs. And so Bijan Robinson's the first guy I'm trying to trade for. The second guy that I'm trying to trade for, it's going to be Chase Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown over here, RB13 right now. Since he's gotten more than 80% of the snap share the last 3 weeks, 26, 22, and 19 fantasy points. Absolutely cooking. Chase Brown is. Khalil Herbert, Zach Moss, those guys to the end of the bench. Zach Moss isn't even on the team, but he overtook him. Now Khalil Herbert is just, essentially spelling, giving Chase Brown breathers, which is crazy. I understand there's a worry about the Cincinnati Bengals team going the rest of the way as they're looking like they're going to be out of the playoffs. Are they going to shut Joe Burrow down? Are they going to shut down Jamar Chase, or Jamar Chase going to hold out? Like, a lot of good questions, but the volume has been so freaking good for Chase Brown. He's in the same situation as Bijan Robinson where he has the bye in week 12, but Pittsburgh, Dallas, Tennessee, it hasn't even mattered the matchup. Dude's been putting up elite level fantasy football numbers, which is great for your fantasy football team. But when we start to look at trades that have gone down for Chase Brown, Tyrone Tracy for Chase Brown straight up, give me Chase Brown. That happened today. Chase Brown for DK Metcalf's the next deal. Give me Chase Brown over DK Metcalf. Now, Chase Brown for Juwan Jennings, give me Chase Brown as well. Chase Brown for Brock Bowers, that's probably a little bit closer. Depends on what you need. Maybe you have an elite level second tight end. Maybe you drafted Brock Bowers super late and you want, Chase Brown, you need some help at the running back position. I do like that deal a lot. So a lot of good deals that are happening right now out there in the ether for Chase Brown. Would definitely be going and trying to target some Chase Brown. Now, this video, we are providing a ton of buys for you. And so the next guy we're going to be talking about, it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson for the New England Patriots. And we're talking about Ramondre. It has been an okay year. I wouldn't say down year. Drake May has really helped kind of push him the rest of the season. Really that week 8 and week 9, 20 back-to-back 20 fantasy point days. But since then, 8 and then 12 fantasy points, which hasn't been good. So we look into this rest of the schedule for him, and we got Miami, Indy, and then the bye in week 14, and then Arizona. I think Ramondre Stevenson, especially if you need some QB2 help, is somebody that I would be trying to take advantage of in my fantasy football leagues. And when we start to take a look at some trades that have happened for Ramondre, someone cheered off of Terry McLaurin to go get Ramondre and Calvin Ridley here. First deal, absolutely love it. Someone cheered off of Mike Evans, get Geno, Amari Cooper, Ramondre. Love that package for Mike Evans. Now, Devontae Adams traded for Amari Cooper and Ramondre. I have Amari Cooper very close to Devontae Adams rest of the season, so I do like the Ramondre Stevenson side there. Ramondre for Nico Dowdle, Ramondre for Travis Etienne. That is a whole nother deal right here that I absolutely love. So there are some really great deals for our boy Ramondre Stevenson. I think Ramondre Stevenson is an absolute major buy that I would be adding to your try to buy list for fantasy football. Okay, giving you 2 more running back buys, and then we'll get to some wide receivers. The next running running back buy, it is going to be Bucky Irving for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Bucky Irving absolutely balled out in week 10 versus the 49ers with 17.7 fantasy points. The thing that I want to talk about with Bucky is he's got a great schedule coming off of this bye. The Giants, Carolina, Las Vegas, the next 3 weeks. So if you are making any type of playoff push, Bucky Irving is a running back that I think has RB2 higher potential. And he's sitting right now as RB27 in fantasy football. And so when we start to pull up what some trades are looking like for Bucky Irving was traded straight up for Brock Purdy. Give me Bucky Irving. We got Bucky Irving and Cortland Sutton for J.K. Dobbins and Trey McBride. That's a deal that I'm not trying to do. I'll take the J.K. Dobbins, Trey McBride side clearly there. Bucky Irving for Jameson Williams. Give me the Bucky Irving, Jameson Williams side. Bucky for Jaden Reed. I'm still, of course, holding Jaden Reed. Tyrone Tracy for Bucky Irving, Xavier Worthy. I'm holding Tyrone Tracy, but like TJ Hawkinson right here and Bucky for Bucky Irving that happened today, give me the Bucky Irving side 100%. So there's some major deals that are happening right now out there in the ether. So like I said, if you guys are not in a trade deadline, definitely go try to make some of these moves. The next guy we're going to be trying to add running back wise before we get to some wide receivers, it is going to be Trey Benson for the Arizona Cardinals. And when we look at Trey Benson, 12 and 10 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks, getting less than a 30% snap share, but he's at a 27 to 28. So he's starting to get some work on James Conner in this backfield. Now, I still am 100% taking James Conner as the ultimate level back, but I am taking James Conner as the ultimate level back in this backfield. But Trey Benson continues to be looking very explosive. And let's not forget, they drafted him with a top 3rd round pick. Super explosive out of the University of Florida State. So definitely want to be considering some Trey Benson trades. And we start to take a look at some trades like Tyler Algier for Trey Benson straight up. Give me Trey Benson there. He's part of a bunch of different packages. So if you're trying to tear down off a player and can pick up like a free Trey Benson, that's what I would try to do. Jordan Mason for Trey Benson, giving me the Trey Benson side there. Someone traded Baker for Trey Benson, Elijah Moore. If you need some help other than quarterback, I think those are 100% moves that I would be looking to do on my fantasy football roster. Now, we're going to be talking some trades for wide receivers. And number one trade target for me right now, it is going to be Mr. Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings. And listen, I like to go big whale hunting. Pat Riley from the Miami Heat. I'm out here trying to get these whales onto my roster. I understand wide receiver 3, dude's absolutely elite. He's going to be super freaking expensive if you can get a deal done for him. Hasn't scored over 20 fantasy points since week 9. So if you are trying to make the playoffs and maybe feeling a little bit desperate, a little bit worried about your squads, Justin Jefferson's 100% a guy that I am trying to go try to acquire. And when we start to look at some deals that have happened for him, someone traded Nico Collins straight up for Justin Jefferson. Give me Justin Jefferson. Like I said, this happened literally today. Someone traded away Breece Hall and T. Higgins for Justin Jefferson. I understand the side of value probably leans with the T. Higgins Breece Hall side, but I want Justin Jefferson there. Someone traded Jamar Chase away for Justin Jefferson and Tony Pollard. Listen, I have them both wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 rest of season. So if I can pick up a free Tony Pollard, that's enough to make me want that Justin Jefferson side there. Like I said, all these deals happened today. Someone traded away Jonathan Taylor, Ladd McConkey for Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes, Jawan Jennings for Justin Jefferson in a 1 QB league. Absolutely insane behavior by some of you guys out here in the fantasy football community. Definitely go try to acquire some Justin Jefferson. Absolutely elite. And I think the wide receivers are guys that I just continue to want to go target, try to get some of these elite level guys on my team. Next guy is going to be AJ Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we talked about AJ Brown in our video on Sunday, talking about how AJ Brown really is someone that we need to be going trying to buy because like we said, we haven't seen him score over 20 fantasy points since week 6, but it has been a lot of the Saquon Barkley show for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is fine. But coming down the stretch versus Baltimore, versus the Rams, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington, some great matchups for AJ Brown to take advantage of. I know it hasn't been the most elite level season for AJ Brown, but we have seen those spurts from him. So I just want to be going and trying to buy some AJ Brown. And when we're taking a look at some trades for AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Darnell Mooney for AJ Brown, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Shakir, that's a pretty fair deal. I'm not trading AJ Brown away for Derrick Henry. 100% give me the Derrick Henry side. AJ Brown and Jonathan Taylor for Nico and James Cook. I think I take the AJ Brown, Jonathan Taylor side, but that is pretty fair deal there. Deebo, DeAndre Swift for AJ Brown. Boom. Give me AJ Brown. AJ Brown, David Montgomery for CMC. Give me the AJ Brown, David Montgomery. Someone trade away Cedric Tillman for AJ Brown. Jamar Chase for AJ Brown. Clearly not doing that. Taking the Jamar Chase side there. You can see, like we said, this is pulling in from a bunch of different sources. So there are some deals like Ricky Pearsall for AJ Brown. Clearly, you're not doing that deal. But I do want to be going and buying some AJ Brown because I think AJ Brown is an absolutely elite level fantasy football asset going forward. Definitely be going and targeting some AJ Brown. And like we said, we're trying to keep this to 10 wide receivers. Next guy we're going to talk about is going to be George Pickens, who has been on an absolute heater absolute heater since Russell Wilson has taken over as the QB. Wide receiver 17 on the season, 16 fantasy points in week 11, 20 fantasy points in week 10, and he's already passed the bye. So if you are a team that you're trying to make a push, definitely go try to see what you can do to go get George Pickens. Now, seeing George Pickens absolutely break out means that George Pickens is going to be way more expensive than what he was a few weeks ago. But as you can see us using this fantasy football calc trade database, there are trades going down for George Pickens here today. Brian Thomas, T. Higgins, and Jalen Warren for George Pickens. Give me the George Pickens side here. George Pickens for Kyren Williams. I think I'm still holding the Kyren Williams side there, but I understand why you'd want George Pickens on the way that he is on the come up. Someone traded away Chase Brown for George Pickens and Jordan Addison. We talked about how we liked that for the Chase Brown when we talked about Chase Brown, but I do think that's a fair deal now that I continue to kind of look and think about what I would do with my overall roster there. I'm trying to see if we can find any more one for one. Someone traded away CeeDee Lamb to go get George Pickens. I know that's crazy to say, but go give me George Pickens there. I do want some George Pickens. I think George Pickens is just an absolutely great wide receiver by rest of season. So definitely go try to see what you could potentially do to add some George Pickens. And we have talked about 8 players right now, 8 players for fantasy football. And like I said, we're going to get to 10 buys here. We're going to get to 10 buys. The next buy is going to be my guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Arizona Cardinals. And we ain't giving you any skimpy buys. We're talking legit level assets. 16.4 fantasy points versus the Jets and was on bye in week 11. Whoever owns Marvin Harrison Jr. probably has a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth because it hasn't been the most ideal, the best season by any stretch of the imagination, but 5 targets, 5 receptions, 54 yards, and 1 total touchdown. If he didn't have that touchdown, it's probably not a great day. But the matchups coming down the line, Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle, New England, Carolina, I absolutely love, especially the New England, Carolina, Seattle matchups. I absolutely love for a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. And so when we start to take a look at what some of these trades are looking like, Travis Etienne traded straight up for Marvin Harrison Jr. Boom. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr. Someone traded away CeeDee Lamb and Ricky Pearsall, got Marvin Harrison Jr., Deontay Johnson, Josh Palmer. That's probably pretty fair, but I personally want the Marvin Harrison Jr. side there. You let me know down below. Jaden Reed, straight up for Marvin Harrison Jr. I love me some Jaden Reed, but I think I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. there. Like we said, CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison Jr. straight up. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I will not be doing this one that happened right here. Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson. I cannot talk myself into that deal. Deebo for Marvin Harrison Jr. Absolutely love that side for the Marvin Harrison Jr. side. So definitely go see what potentially trading for Marvin Harrison Jr. could look like. I think that would absolutely help your fantasy football team. And like we said, we're giving you 10 buys. It's been a lot here tonight. It's been a lot here today, ladies and gentlemen, with all these buys. And my last and final buy, is this my last buy we're going to talk about for 2024? That's a little sad if it is, but it's going to be Deebo Samuel. And there's been a lot of talk about Deebo Samuel not being the number one on his team and that he's getting outproduced by Jawan Jennings, which has been happening. I mean, since he's taken over as the one, he's only had 1 game over 20 fantasy points, and he's been a very consistent. He'll get you 12 fantasy points, but 6 fantasy points versus Seattle, 87% snap share, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 22 yards. Just not good. We look at his coming matchups. Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago, Rams, Miami. Listen, I understand Deebo hasn't been where he needs to be. Same when we're talking about A.J. Brown. But when we start to look at what trades are looking like for Deebo Samuel, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson for Deebo, Brian Robinson Jr., give me the Deebo, Brian Robinson Jr. J.K. Dobbins and Jordan Addison for Deebo. I probably lean the J.K. Dobbins side because I think there's similar upside, higher upside over on the J.K. Dobbins, Jordan Addison side. Deebo Samuel, Isaiah Pacheco for Hopkins and Joe Mixon. Listen, clearly not. So maybe we're looking at Deebo as a sell right now, but like Garrett Wilson, I still want Garrett Wilson over Deebo Samuel. So I'm looking at some of the trades. Like I said, these are all trades that you guys have done here over the last day. Deebo for Marvin Harrison Jr. I do want the Marvin Harrison Jr. side. Jalen Waddle, like if you could do that, or you could get, if you have Jalen Waddle and go flip him for Deebo, that is a deal I'm looking to do. A Najee Harris for Deebo, I will be doing the Deebo Samuel side. So if you like fantasy football, if you like winning, if you like trades, I know this video, we just provided 10 trades, went through all the fantasy football trade calculator data to get you the best quality. We're putting this out on Tuesday night, super late. Apologies. It's been super busy at work. Also, I appreciate you guys for being patient on the content, answering every start sit question down below, as well as going live on Wednesday night. So if you want your question answered, answering every start sit question, appreciate you guys for tuning in. This community is absolutely awesome. I'm pumped to be here. Let's grind out the rest of the season and win a fantasy football championship. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.